Most people say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I say it's nonsense. It's actually, that's the definition of tenacity. Insanity is actually when you stop doing it, when you decided that you failed.
Hey, welcome back to the Wits Podcast. We are here with Mir Ezra, and we're going to have a pretty cool conversation today around things like fear and what's going on in the world. He built a $100 million company by the age of 30. Mir Ezra is one of the best. He is an inventor, a philanthropist, a serial entrepreneur. He's got like 27 businesses, maybe even more. A wicked, amazing coach, and definitely someone that we're going to gain some perspective from. So Mir, great to have you here.
Nice to meet you, and nice to have everyone listening.
Why don't you give us a little bit of a background on you? I know I did a quick intro on you, but tell us a little more about yourself. What are you up to? What are you doing?
So I'm an Israeli. When I was born with my 2 feet pointing backward. So for 6 years, I was in cast up to my hips, and every 3 days they will take the cast off and break the feet back. So after 6 years, basically I couldn't walk, and the doctor said, there's no future, like you're not going to walk. You just need to get used to it. But probably I didn't understand what they said. So I didn't consider that it's a problem. And not only that I walked, but I went to the most prestigious special unit in the Israeli army, in the Navy, and I became a diver. The course is 2 years. We started 4,000 people. After 2 years, we ended up 21. Then I was in the army for 6 years, went after that for a year in the Far East, and decided when the money finished in the Far East, the money that I saved in the army finished, I decided that I need to go and start a business. I started a business, and by the age of 31, I made $100 million US.
Wow.
Not knowing English and having long hair, earrings, and I just made it.
Yes, very Israeli of you with the long hair and the ponytail and the earrings. It was very fashionable back then. But that's a really interesting story of just, perseverance and, being met with obstacles from the time you were born. I mean, you hear stories like this where, people that have met or had a tremendous amount of obstacles, opposition, difficulty in their younger years and their ability to push through it, how that's lent to things like resilience and, success. So, I mean, do you think that, part of your success today started from that very young age, having to fight, having to push, almost not having anyone there to help you?
Yeah, I think that success is a viewpoint. Success is a viewpoint. Your viewpoint that you take on life defined your results. It's not the environment. It's nothing other than the viewpoint that you assume. And viewpoint you assume at any given moment, you can assume a viewpoint of a successful person or a viewpoint of a loser. And there's an actual way to build that viewpoint, because my definition of the word success in my opinion, is the sum of all validated improvements. So you are improve. Most of the people think that in order to succeed, they need to see what's wrong. But I said that in order to succeed, you need to see what's right. And at one moment, you become successful. And from that moment forward, you are actually creating, which means that you can conclude that success is a target only for failures. So your viewpoint should not be a viewpoint of I want to be successful, but I want to create. And when you create, you can validate that. And if you validate that, you never actually a failure, because you always validating, yes, that's good. And all of a sudden you just realize you can. So the only difference between those that succeed and those that not is those that succeed has the viewpoint that of course they can, no problem. I'll give you a story. I started a major project in South Africa when this project with BP, when I sold them $100 million US. And they will ask me a question and I will say, no problem, we'll do that. And they will ask me another question. I say, no problem, we'll do that. No problem, no problem, no problem. I had that viewpoint that nothing is a problem. I still have that viewpoint. And when the project started, it was a major, massive project. When the project started, we got a whole floor in the BP building, and there was an opening. And when I came to the opening, it said Project Fuel Master, no problem. So I've installed that viewpoint that nothing is a problem. And
yeah, it's a mindset, and I think that's part of the core or it's a foundational skill that we need to have, which is our ability to look at the world in more of a specific lens, be very intentional in how we're looking at things, what we're saying to ourselves. I think if you look at a lot of back to the word success, and I know it's defined differently, and I love the way you define things, by the way, because it really forces people to question words like success. We were talking about truth the other day, which you sort of blew my mind away, where I was like, I don't even know how to answer that. But it's I think part of what people need to do, particularly in this time right now, is really consider their mindset, their viewpoints, or what I would call their perceptions. I recently saw you talk and post something about fear, and that's really sort of what, I think I wanted to get out of you today, which is we are living in this insane, crazy time. There's a lot of different noise and perspective out there. And you had a really, really, really strong position or line that fear is more of the virus versus the actual virus itself. So tell me a little more about that.
Okay, so just generally, I think that the coronavirus is a very interesting virus because unlike any other virus, it gets transmitted from one person to another by fear. I really see that. But we need to understand what does it mean, fear, and we will connect it to success later on. Fear is actually a condition where you are unwilling to look.
Okay,
Which means
fear is we're conditioned where we're unable to look.
Unwilling to look. So if I do wow, you like go away. You are afraid because you're unwilling to look. So if you're not looking and you're afraid, it means that almost anything you're afraid of do not exist because you're not looking. What you're afraid of actually do not exist. If I'll pay you a cent for every time that you were afraid and nothing happened, you would be a billionaire. So the only thing people are afraid of actually is, there's only one thing people are afraid of, and it is being afraid. You're only afraid of being afraid because once the thing happens, you either have pain or you have anger or you have an apathy, but you are not afraid. Fear is only a state of imperception. You're not willing to perceive. So what do you know? You know that anyone that push now another stable piece of data is that the only thing you have in life is what you can communicate with. You have the communication with thing and not the thing. You don't have a wife, you have a communication with the wife. You don't have a phone, you have a communication with the phone. Once you lost the phone, you lost the communication with the phone. It's not that the phone is gone. Now, the communication is what allows you to have things. So anyone that pushes fear on you, don't want you to have. They try to get you to not have, and when you don't have, you depend on the person that created the fear. Yeah, how do you know if someone is if someone telling you something, what is the indication? Is it right or is it wrong? The indication is like that. If it makes you more cause, it's probably right. And if it makes you more effect, it's probably wrong. If it makes you more afraid, which is more effect, it's probably wrong. If it makes you more powerful, it's probably right. Your friend see the good in you and validate you and bring about success. Your enemies makes you wrong and so bring about failure. It is quite unbelievable that you can very easy pick up what's the intention of the person by what is he trying to cause you. Is he trying to cause you fear? He's your enemy. Your friends don't cause you fear. Your friend helps you to see the future. They give you hope. They give you love. They give you possibilities. They don't cage you in a box and telling you, well, it's all bad and nothing will happen. And that's a very interesting viewpoint.
Yeah, back
Now,
to perceptions.
Yeah, so let's look at that perception and let's connect this whole thing. So if you take a person is a spirit and he has a body. Many people say my spirit, and when someone says my spirit, you need to understand he doesn't know what the spirit is. Because you don't have a spirit. Because if you tell me my spirit, it means I will ask you, belong to who? So you will say to me, and I ask, who is me? It's my spirit. So we are in a circle, yes?
Yes.
You are a spirit, you have a body, and you have a mind. And people don't actually understand what is a spirit, what is a mind, and hardly what is a body, what it's composed of. But without understanding that, you will not be able to improve, because the way to fix anything is to be able to separate the parts of the thing, to see. You can say that logic is the ability to see differences, similarities, and identities.
Okay.
If you think that this is similar to an elephant, you're cuckoo, you're not logical.
Right.
But if you think that this is similar to another remote, then probably you are more logical. So the more you can separate things, the more logical you are. You separate things by giving them a definition. If you think that the mind is the body and the body is the spirit and the spirit is the karma and the karma is the chakra and everything is the same thing, you are insane. Yes? So let's look and see what is a spirit.
So I was going to say, walk me back through that. So walk me back through the difference of spirit, mind, body, and how I start to use these things a little more intentionally. Back to, I think, what you're talking about, which is your mindset and your intention.
So let's look at the spirit, okay? So if you look at the physical universe, you will see that the physical universe probably started at one point and it goes over time. Yes?
Yep.
So the word started was not here before. The word started means was not here before. When I say the iPhone started in 2007, it means it was not here before.
Correct.
Okay. So before the physical universe started, it was not here before. So far, so good?
Good. With you.
Okay, good. So you can look at the physical universe and see that the physical universe is composed of tools. There is nothing in the physical universe that do not compose of two. The smallest number, the smallest unit, the prime unit in the physical universe is two. There's good and bad, black and white. For small, you need big. For big, you need small. To love, you need hate. Everything needs the opposite. Okay?
Yeah, for every action, there's a reaction.
For every action, there is a reaction. Exactly. So the physical universe you can say that the physical universe is a universe composed of twos. Okay?
Okay.
So if it's composed of two, it means that the first particles in the physical universe was composed of, it was two. And because we said that it started at one point, it means that what created these two do not compose of two. Before the iPhone, there was no iPhone. Before the two, there was no two. Make sense?
Makes sense.
So if you get that concept, you can say that the physical universe is a universe of something, and something is defined composed of two, and the spiritual universe is a universe of nothing. And that's where the thing that's so difficult to people to grasp, that the only way to bring something is by being nothing. And how you do that, you bring ideas for no reason at all. And I can give you an actual process that any person can do. And he will say, for example, any problem. You have a problem, any problem in the universe, any problem. And you take that problem and you invent solutions, not logical solutions, not practical solutions, not beautiful solution, not ugly solution, not possible solution, just solution. And if you invent solution, what you actually do, you become more and more cause. You come up with ideas. You actually training these muscles of the spirit. Not that the spirit has a muscle, but it's a kind of training the muscle. And all of a sudden you see that ideas are the most powerful thing in this universe. You know, you can put a person in jail. You can build a fortress that will be totally protected and no one can penetrate. There is no way to penetrate. But through some way, an idea will go through. And once the idea will go through, things will change. Because ideas are more powerful than anything in the universe, because they are the creator of the universe.
I love I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying because, you know, I mean, the words I would use is things like creative and visionary. And I'm a big believer in working that muscle within ourselves because it is the thing that allows us to propel forward. You know, you put it really simply, which is the idea. It is all about the idea. I think this is where people have stopped maybe recognizing or creating ideas because everyone's in some cases either lazy or waiting for someone else to do it, or they're in their fortress and they're not using their imagination, their creativity. And if you look at a child, right, the child is the purest essence or the purest form of ideas and imagination and creativity, and they're boundless. You go to a 4, 5, 6-year-old, and I have young kids, and I sometimes say things to them, and they look at me with this peculiar look, which is like, well, what do you mean? Why not? Right? Like, you know, I don't understand. And it could be something as simple as, you know, let's go outside. And I'm like, no, let's not go outside. And they're like, but why not? Like, it's the imagination. So, yeah, I think that's a massive. So tell me a little more. What are some good things or habits or practices that we can take on individually to work that muscle in ourselves a little more?
Okay, so the first thing to know is that every fact used to be an idea.
Very true. Very fucking true, Mir.
Yeah, which means that what happened is the more validity you give to fact, the less of you have. So as a child, as if I take your example, as a child, you operated on ideas. And you had a broom, and the broom was an airplane, and the next moment it was a car, and the next moment it was whatever. And it was real for you, 100% real, like for me, this remote, okay? But as you go along, you gain experience, you gain past. And I define the word past as the sum of all your limitations. As you go along, as you go through life, you put a past, something that happened. Every time that you have something that happened, you actually define a limitation. So your past is the sum of all your limitations. If we will consider the past, we will never fly. the earth would still be flat, because based on the past, that was what's known, that's what was agreed to. Then someone came up with an idea and he said, no, there is atoms, there is round, the earth is round. Oh, of course we can fly, why not? Someone broke the past. Someone said, yes, the past is the sum of all your limitation. And most people make the mistake and they think that experience is important. Experience is the worst thing that ever happened to you. Ever happened to you, because your experience is what makes you old.
Peter, this is deep stuff, and I'm not just saying that because you're right. You're absolutely right, which is, as human beings, we progress forward. We're always looking back, and the most common thing people will look back at is their failures. And when you ask them about, hey, can you, will you, they will immediately revert back with their facts, their data of, this is what's happened in the past, this is why I can't do it. And the only way they would be able to do it in some cases is if they say, yes, I've done it. And it's as simple as a job. Someone says, I could get this job because I've done this job in the past. But what if we said, hey, what if you don't take the job? What if you start a business? What if you start an idea? What if you start some sort of movement? Maybe it turns into something. And this is where I think, more and more people need to be very, call it mindful. We use the word mindful, we use the word conscious, but I think you're even saying it more simple. Let go of our past. The past doesn't define the future.
Yeah, actually, I have a definition for the word insanity. Most people say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I say it's nonsense. It's actually, that's the definition of tenacity. That's the definition of tenacity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. It's tenacity. If you have children, you know that. You tell your child, go to the shower, go to the shower, go to the shower. 1 hour, that's tenacity. Then he goes to the shower. Then another 1 hour, go out of the shower, go out of the shower, go out of the shower. That's tenacity. That's not insanity. Insanity is actually when you stop doing it, when you decided that you failed, that because something happened in the past, you don't tell him again, go to the shower. And you can define insanity as attention stuck in the past. And you are as insane as you rely on your past. Have you seen the movie Jaws?
Yeah, of course.
You know the movie Jaws.
Yeah.
So the movie Jaws, yeah, it's very interesting, old movie. And what was interesting about this movie is that it was a special shark that liked blondes, but only blondes. If you put a brunette in the water, it doesn't eat the brunette.
Yeah, this is also 80s, right? So they used to make movies a little different there. But yes, go on.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but in the movie Shark, you see this blonde and she is swimming and so on, and all of a sudden you hear ta-dam, and you think get back to the boat.
Yeah.
And you hear ta-dam, 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 and boom, the shark ate the lady. Now, do you know why he ate the lady?
Because it was hungry?
No, because she didn't hear the soundtrack.
Yeah, I think it's the alert system. Absolutely, yeah, that's funny. That's really funny.
Now, later on, you see totally different lady. She's blonde, but totally different lady. She swim, and you hear ta-dam, and you think get back to the boat, and you hear ta-dam, ta-dam, get back to the boat, get back to the boat, and nothing happened. You went totally cuckoo, not because of what's happened in front of you, but because what it reminds you, you went into your past. You're in a movie. You know it's not real. But if something throws you into the past, you become cuckoo. And that's what happened in life. The more you rely on the past, the more cuckoo you become, because the past is the sum of all your limitations. Because the past is what tells you what cannot be done. And so you train yourself on looking at what's wrong. So the first thing you look at the person is this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. You always see fault with people. And once you see so many fault with people, you think that it makes you right. but it actually makes you blind. Why? If there's 8 billion people and I say I'm right and 7.9 billion people are wrong, I must be blind because I have one viewpoint and I don't see the rest of the 360 degrees that there is there. So you can see that you want to know how useless a person is, see how he thinks that he's right. A person that actually powerful can have his viewpoint and think that he looks at himself and he thinks he's perfect. Like I think successful people look at themselves every morning and say, wow, I'm so hot. But what's unique about successful people is that they allow all the other 8 billion people to be as hot as them. That's the difference. They're not hot in the purpose of making someone else wrong. They are hot because they see only good. Bad is basically almost non-existence for them. Why? They fix anything by ideas, by creation. At the level of ideas, there is no plus and minus. There is only something with no duration. So it is only the ability to recover this muscle of ideas. So what is the mind? What is the mind? So the spirit, we can define the spirit as the thing that knows.
Okay.
The spirit,
thing that knows.
Yeah, the spirit is a non-physical thing, is something that's not composed of two, that has the ability to create any two. And you never lose this ability. You only lose your willingness to demonstrate that ability. Quite fascinating. You never lose your abilities. At the age of 80, 90, 100, you don't lose your ability. You lose your willingness to demonstrate that ability because you rely on the past. Now, where is this past? Where is this past? What's this past? The past is your mind. Your mind is a mechanism that every second you record a picture. So your mind is a series of pictures that tells you how limited you are.
That little book we've been journaling our entire life and not even realizing the damage we're doing to ourselves purely through the way we're judging the past or looking at the past and allowing that, again, past to define us.
Yeah. So how come that we have a mind? When a person, when the spirit is really good, the intention of the spirit is really good. You can look at children and you can see that the definition of the word child is a person with small body, always with good intention and often with bad results. When the parents evaluate the child on the result and not on the intention, what they do, they rob from the child his self-determinism because he's so good. And he said, one second. If I'm so bad, I cannot trust myself. I will not put ideas anymore. I will start to create a mind that will tell me what to do. I will start to rely on the past. So the more you find fault with your child, the more he will get stuck in the past. So you will see people are stuck in the past to a direct degree that they agreed that they've been wrong. And the only way, or not the only way, one of the ways to recover that is to start validating yourself. Report to yourself how good you are. And how do you validate yourself is the most fascinating thing, is by validating others.
Yeah, I heard you say that earlier, and I was going to say, I think part of what you're also talking about is you don't get to have that quotation success or do this without being willing to lift other people up,
100%.
which is what we talk about as leaders, and it's what we talk about as a community, and what we should be representing in this world as a human being is to, lift people up.
Yeah. So what you see in others is what you see in you. It's your viewpoint define what you see. You understand? You don't actually see something. Yes? Let me explain why you don't ever see anything. If this is a star, yes, and the star, you see a star, but the star is 100 million years, light years away. By the time you saw the star is totally something, it's not the same, yes? Because the star continued to move and the light comes towards you, and by the time it reaches you, the star maybe exploded, maybe it's gone and whatever, okay? So you don't actually see the star. If you look at that star and it's only 100,000 kilometers away from you, still by the time you see it, it's gone, it's not the same. If it is here, just right next to me, if I touch it, by the time the message goes from my fingers all the way through the nerve system, through the glands, and I get a realization that it's there, this thing changes at the speed of light times the number of atoms that it composes of, times the movement of Earth. I never actually see something. I only see things that do not exist anymore. Okay? So what you touch actually, what's so real is so real because it's not there. So you need to say again and again and again, it's here, it's here, it's here, because it's really not here. That's why the physical universe is so insisting on being here, because if you stop putting it there, it will disappear. So you never actually touch something. You never actually have something, okay? What you do have, because you never touch something, when you look at your past, what you bring about is a lie. It's a picture of something that did not exist. And that's why you see that as the past go back, because there's all those limitation and connection, the past changes for people. It really changes. So the only way to improve in life is to know that the past is not important. The future, you're never there, because the future is always in the future. And the only thing that's important is present time. And present time, most people think that it's now. Present time is not now. Present time is before the past. Present time is before the past. It's the moment before the past. It's what creates. It's the moment of creation, and the moment of creation can be only before the past. So for as long as you have a past, you cannot create. You can see that emergency, you can define as emergency as a moment with no past. When an emergency happens, you don't think about your past, you just act. Emergency is a moment with no past. And at the moment of emergency, you can do unbelievable things, because you consider for a short while that there's no past. And when there's no past, even the sky is not the limit.
Okay, so we spoke about spirit, we spoke about the mind, and the third piece was?
The body.
Body.
The body.
Yeah. So how does the body fit into this?
Okay. So the body is a machine. It's actually an electrical machine. And I will not get to explaining everything about the body right now. It's a big subject. But the body is an electrical machine that been driven by some life forms, okay? And the more, and you can handle your body in one of two ways. You either serve the body or you use the body. For as long as you serve the body, you're a servant. You're in jail. You are a prisoner. You are a slave. The moment that you start using the body, you will see that the body, like any other animal, will do what you train him to do. And the body is it's a body. It's not more than anything else. It's just a body. It's a machine. It's not you. It has it tried to tell people try to think that they are the body, but the more you think you are the body, the less cause you will become, because the body will drive you to do unethical things. The body will drive you to become weak. The body will drive you to have a lot of limitation. You cannot move out of 36.6 degrees Celsius to 37, 38. You cannot take a body and throw it at more than 20 kilometers per hour, because it becomes secondhand very quickly. You cannot even not feed the body for too long, because it starts to go insane. All this happen because you consider the body cause. For as long as you consider the body cause, the body will traumatize you. But once you decide that you're the cause, the body will do exactly what you tell it to do. And if you decide to eat, you will eat. If you decide to sleep, you'll sleep. If you decide that you're tired, you're tired. If you decide anything, you'll decide. And otherwise, the body decides, and you are just a parrot, or just a useless no one. And you will see that almost every unethical action that's been done by people is because they consider the body senior to them. An unethical thing can be even, I decided to go onto a diet and I don't. I eat. Why? Because the body tells me what to do. I decided to go to the gym and I didn't, because the body is tired. The spirit never gets tired. I decided not to cheat my wife, and I did. It must be that I consider the body more important than what I know is right. And the problem is that the more you make the body cause over you, the less of you have. You lose your ability to come up with ideas. So in order to be able to recover your abilities to come up with ideas, you need to do a few things. The first thing is just start putting out ideas, not logical ideas, not practical ideas, just ideas. And the next level is you need to start removing those things that stops you, those things that make the body so important. And of course, there's a specific way on how to do it, etc. Maybe in a different
next episode.
Next episode.
Mir, again, I keep saying this is super interesting, and I mean it's a little. I mean, for some people, this is going to be hard for them to wrap their head around, right? Because back to I think what you're talking about, people are stuck in the past, and people have a very difficult time understanding that they have more choice and control of their destiny, their life, their relationships, their business, you know. And I think one of the most powerful things you said today is how your past is actually your biggest limitation, because it's true, you know, we as people will always reference back to the past. That's how we move forward. We look back. Well, we look back in order to move forward. Hey, did it work last time? Oh, it did. Okay, let's do it again. Did it not work last time? Oh no, we shouldn't do it again. I love the fact that you said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting a different result, which is not the definition. That's the definition of tenacity, right? And Albert Einstein said that originally. And like, I love the way you put it, which is, fuck yeah, man. I live that. I'm also the dude that will keep running up against the wall over and over and over and over and over and over. And eventually I push through the wall. And then people go, oh, look, it worked. And you give permission to other people. I think back to what I do for a living, and the reason we're doing these things is by definition to lift people up. And I think, again, one of the most powerful things you said today was you don't get any of this unless you're willing to do it with other people, because again, it's the way we look at people. It's that mirror, it's that reflection. What I see in them is what is what I see in myself. And you hear a lot of people and a lot of thought leaders talking about mindset and growth mindset and consciousness, and everyone's throwing out these words. And I think everyone has the best intention of doing so, but don't always have the tools to get there.
Yeah.
And I think one of the major tools that I personally took from you today so far was the tool of, I'm going to just paraphrase it, letting go of the past,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's perception and it's fake, right?
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about this. So the whole thought of our ancestry knowledge being handed down to us genetically, right? Which is, my grandfather's grandfather used to feel this way, and that's been handed down through genetics, and it's what contributes to maybe sometimes how I feel today.
Yeah.
Any
Okay.
thought
So
on that?
yeah, genetics stand for the genetic entity, which means is the survival part of the body. Okay.
Yep.
Which actually makes the body senior to the spirit.
Okay. With you.
Now imagine that this physical thing that don't even feel, the body don't even feel. It's a non-sentient machine. Because if you do something, how can I prove that the body do not feel? Because I've seen a person in a factory that his hand got cut. And he didn't notice that his hand was cut, but totally cut by a saw, but very high speed saw, until someone told him that his hand was cut. It took maybe 30 seconds. Cut hand, and then he got devastated, etc. I saw it in the army, a person that got shot and didn't notice only after the fight. Because the body do not feel until you don't say it's there, it's not there. That's why you can see a person that can be paralyzed but nothing wrong with him. That's why you can see that you can actually recover anything by the spirit alone. So if you think that the body think, what you actually say is that these memories, because the body, the cells carry with them memories, but they're memory of the past, and they're not senior to you. So if you do take those limitations, then I will not be walking today. Because the past told me that I shouldn't work, but I was senior to that, and I decided, okay, I understand I cannot work. I'll give you an example. I had a lady and I had a class of maybe, I don't know, 100, 150 people in that class. And in the middle of the class, a lady from Canada got an asthma attack. But she couldn't breathe, like really bad. And she took out this inhaler and started by her, like while she's totally choking, using that inhaler and And it was a really amazing scene, yes?
Sure.
So I looked at her. So things got relaxed and so on. And I looked at her and I said, okay, so what's going on? And she said, well, I have an asthma attack. I said, really, when did it start? She said, I don't know, forever. It's always, I have asthma. I said, okay, good. That's not good to my lessons because it's interfering with my lessons. Let's go and handle it. I went with her to the other room. I did what I did. 20 minutes later, we came back. And she said to everyone, her asthma has been handled. Beautiful. That night, we went to some of the student house and we sat in his basement and we all smoked cigars. And she was there, totally fine. She couldn't do that. And today, I think it is 6 years after. Her name is Sandra. I'm still in contact with her. She never got one asthma attack since. Why? Because the spirit is senior. Steve Bozik had a problem with his back. His back went out, and he had this big presentation that he needed to do the next day, and he needed to fly. And he calls me and he says, Mayor, I'm in bed. I don't know what to do. I gave him what he needs to do. The mind, nothing to do with the body. Actually, it's not correct to say the mind, the spirit, yes, it's handling the mind, but the spirit, yes. So he did these exercises. He calls me 30 minutes later and he says, I'm standing. I said, good, that's what you do next. The next morning, he was on the plane, he delivered the presentation. And if you go to my Facebook, you will see he's telling his story. And it's not once or twice. The spirit is senior to the body. And so the body do not think. The body have urges. The body do not come with ideas. The body has limitations. And for as long as you rely on the genetic entity to tell you what to do, yes, you will become more and more and more and more limited. So
I'm a big believer in this.
yeah.
I was told from a very young age that the wits men have bad backs. You've got a bad back, right? That started at a very young age. All through teenager, my back always hurt. In 2017, I wrecked my back where I blew out 3 discs, and I couldn't walk. I would also be traveling to do gigs and stuff like that. I'd have someone come with me just so they could hold my briefcase and carry my carry-on bag because I couldn't even lift it. For close to a year, I could barely walk. I'm looking at also, and I finally end up with a surgeon, a young surgeon. And he says, bring me your MRI results. And I go in there and I'm in a cane and I'm hobbling on like I'm 97 years old. And he says, okay, well, let me look at it. And he looked at the MRI and he said, yes, you have ruptured your discs. He says, but you do not need surgery and I'm not going to give you surgery. He says, because the body heals. And he says, you're a young guy. And as soon as he said that to me, I swear to you, something flipped in my mind. I went, oh, okay. And the next day I was up. Now, also, there were other
It's a decision.
things that I did.
Someone gave you this idea.
Absolutely.
You had the idea.
Absolutely. And I have a buddy who will listen to this and he'll know who he is. He'll always say, man, you got to be careful of your back. I'm like, no, I don't. My back is strong. I just, you know what? I could lift, I could bend, I could move, I could this. And even last week, my back started to hurt and I realized it wasn't, again, anything physical. It was because obviously things are a little more stressful right now. And I know my stomach and my back are 2 indications or 2 little alert systems in my body that say, hey, there's something wrong with your mind right now. Fix your mind, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
stress.
there's a way to fix all of that. It's so easy to fix those things. It's just, you need to first of all realize that you're the boss. Because otherwise, when I'll give you the things that you need to do to fix it, it will look totally weird. But if you do it, you will see. It is quite fascinating. You know, there's a word that called seriousness. Okay. And when people talk about seriousness, they usually mean that to do something diligently or like it should be. But I say that seriousness is actually a situation where you do something to avoid punishment, to become serious, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how serious can you get?
Yeah.
Dead serious, yes? So when something is dangerous, you become serious, okay? And the more serious you get, the less able you are. You see, the children are very unserious. They're very alive. They're moving. They're all over. Nothing is serious. They fall. They cry for 5 minutes, and it's okay. They fight with the friends. They want to kill him, and the next moment they love him. Nothing is serious. Nothing is held to for a long time. So seriousness is a condition where you say, you know, I wake up in the morning because if I don't wake up in the morning, I will not go to work. And if I will not go to work, I will not get the salary. If I will not get salary, I won't be able to pay the mortgage. And if I will not pay the mortgage, I will not have a home, and I want the home, so I go to work. Very serious. You know, you really get serious. Things are heavy. Life is everything has a penalty. Everything has a penalty. You're looking at the penalty. You're trying to avoid penalty rather than create joy. And the more serious you are, the more dead you are. Now, why would you become serious? You become serious because you consider something senior to you. Every time you consider something senior to you, you become serious. So you don't make decisions anymore. For example, you go and you say, you want to make a decision and you get hit. And you say, okay, fine. And you go and try to make a decision, you get hit another one. And you go and make a decision, you get hit. So the next time an opportunity to make a decision come on, you say, why don't you make the decision? And you stop making decision, and now the body make the decision for you.
Right.
And at that moment, you're dead. You're really dead because you're very, very serious. And you will see that competence is the ability to do what you do when you're doing it. You can define competence as the ability to do what you do when you're doing it. If you can do emails without being interfered with the phone, and like if you work on the airplane, you see that you're getting much more things happening because you're able to do what you do when you're doing it. But when you're able to do what you do when you're doing it, you're not worried about penalties. And seriousness is the degree of incompetence. Seriousness is the degree of incompetence. Seriousness is how much you are out of present time, how much you are not before the past, how much you are in the past. So the more you are in the past, the more you rely on physical thing, body, what you have, what you don't have. The more you rely on that, the more serious you are. When I went to do my first deal, this $100 million deal, I didn't have anything. I didn't know English, really. I didn't know English. I didn't have money. I still have the presentation I've sent them. I've sent the oil companies a presentation that if you look at that presentation, PowerPoint presentation, black and white, I cannot read what I wrote. It was Hebrew, English, something. I cannot read it. But I was 100% sure that I'm going to do it. And I was unserious about it. You know, I went to, I'll tell you a short story. It's an interesting story. So there was this, I'm sending all this PowerPoint to all the oil companies. And then, of course, no one come back to me. Yes. And I decided, well, what do you mean they're not coming back to me? I'm going to talk to them. So I got to the building, to VP's building. It's like a huge building in Cape Town, about 5,000 people working there. And I go to the reception and I say, I'm here to talk to the manager, Bill. So they're telling me, the guard tell me, is he expecting you? I said, of course, for a long time. So he calls up, he talks to the secretary comes down, and she go through me like I'm not there because I have this long hair, earrings, I don't look like a businessman, yes? So she go right next to me and she asked and I'm the only one there, yes? And she asked the guard, who is here for Bill? So the guy says, so she said, no, for Bill. So the guy said,
that's him.
So she come to me and she said, are you here to see Bill? And I tell her, I think he's expecting me. She says, but are you sure he's expecting you? I said, for a long time. I said, fine. So we're going up and you can see that she looks at me weird. We go in, we go through all those cubicles and we get to the end and there's this big corner office on the 15th floor, beautiful office. And she has her desk there and the door is like right in front and I just go through the door. And he looks at me and he says, who are you? I says, you want to see me? He looks at me and he says, you have 5 minutes. That was 10 o'clock in the morning. At 8 p.m. at night after dinner, I left.
Wow.
Why? Why? Because I was 100% sure that I can. I did not look at all the limitation. I don't have good English. I have very bad accent. At that time, I couldn't read the menu. I don't have money. I have long hair. He's with a tie and a suit, and I'm not. He's that, I'm not. All of those limitations was not a consideration for me. I just thought that I can. I just knew that I can.
It's that easy, huh? It's that simple, and most people mess it up.
Yes, it's
Right?
so simple. They don't even try. They don't start.
Crazy.
Because they
Mir,
consider that the body, that the past is senior to them. So they become serious and dead.
Mir, this was awesome today. Thank you so much for taking the time. I would love to do another one with you as a follow-up if you're up for it. But I think the audience today is going to get a lot. I got a lot out of this. I think not only did it reinforce a lot of what I believe and try to sort of practice and teach, but it's you just put it in a very simple way for us to move forward. So awesome. All right.
Thank you.
We're going to get all of
You're a very good interviewer. You're an amazing interviewer. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We're going to get all your information posted below, but you have a lot going on. You got a Facebook page, you're on Instagram, you're putting out YouTube content. So we'll make sure that we get your channels posted in here. And for the audience, I hope you enjoyed today's show. And don't forget to click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out Mir Ezra, and we will see you next time. Hey, I'm Greg Witz. Thanks so much for coming and checking out the video. If you like that video, you're going to love the next one. So I'd highly suggest that you click this video over here. And don't forget to subscribe and share.